In this video, I want to share my exact step-by-step process I used to lose 200 pounds easily and by eating whatever I wanted. I'm not a doctor, nutritionist, or psychologist. I'm just a dude that was 415 pounds with no money for surgeries or medications and basically no prior knowledge of how to eat healthy or sustainably. I was just a guy who wanted to get his life back and was successful in the short and the long term, and I wanted to share my journey along with you guys. Obviously, this is not advice, so please use this information at your own discretion. The first step was acknowledging the biggest problem. At the most fundamental level, at that current moment in time, I had to accept and realize that I was not capable of making good food decisions that aligned with my overall goal. My short-term solution was very simple. I eliminated as much decision-making from my food choices as possible by pre-planning, and each meal was calculated out specifically to align with my calorie goals. I do want to note though that although these meals were pre-planned and calculated, they were all based off of foods that I actually wanted to eat, and that made the process a lot easier on me. What this looked like in reality was me basically eating the same meals every day, and I would really only change what I ate if A, I either got sick of the food, which pretty much never happened, or B, my weight loss would stop or slow. Then I would kind of adjust things around to make sure that progress was continuing. For the first 100 pounds of the journey, I didn't have easy access to a scale that could weigh me, so my only real feedback was visual. The only scale available to me that could actually weigh me was at the gym, but because of kind of how I looked, I really didn't want to go to the gym. I was pretty embarrassed to go to the gym. I remember the first time I was able to step on a home scale and it not read error. It actually gave me an accurate reading of how much I weighed, and that was such a proud moment at the time. Like, still, that was one of the best moments of my journey, was just being able to put myself on an actual just non-gym, non-doctor scale and having it read my weight. That was pretty incredible to me at the time. The takeaway here is to not necessarily eat the same meals every day. Rather, we should focus on the bigger issue, the more fundamental issue of just bad food decision making. When you're following these fad diets that kind of design an eating program for you, right? Like the Atkins diet or something like that. It's solving the symptoms of the problem, but it's not teaching you how to eat. It's not fixing the fundamental issues. So when I was wanting to lose weight, when I was kind of developing my plan, yeah, I pre-planned all of my meals because I knew that was a very good short-term solution. I realized, man, I give in really easily because, dieting is hard. I give in really easily to eating more than I should. If I pre-plan meals, I'm much less likely to do that. And when you have pre-planned meals or when you're following these fad diet programs, it makes it impossible to overeat. So I understand that, but at the same time, while I was implementing my short-term solution, I had to teach myself. I had to develop this model of what a person who weighs, like what I do now, 190, how they eat, what portion sizes they use. I had to kind of retrain my brain to think more like a 190 pound dude instead of a 415 pound dude. This knowledge led to a better overall decision-making framework, which led to better habits, which led to where I am now, which is I could literally eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and I can trust myself that I'm not going to overeat because I already know how much I need to eat in order to maintain where I am. I don't need to cut off anything. I can have cake, I could have pizza. It doesn't matter because I have a new understanding of food and my body's needs than I did when I was 400 pounds, right? So I was basically training my mind, once again, to think more like a 190 pound guy instead of a 415 pound guy. That was the long-term solution. It doesn't matter what process you're using if you're not sticking with it. And to stick with something as difficult as losing weight for a very long period of time, that requires a really strong why or reason as to why you're doing it. If I asked you to give a speech in front of a large crowd, for most people that would be a very difficult task. But this task would be perceived to be a lot easier if, for say, I offered you $1 million to give a speech in front of a large crowd. Because you have a stronger reason why, i.e. the $1 million, the activity that otherwise would be very painful, very hard, suddenly becomes extremely easy. And the same applies to weight loss. Basically, before I even started the process, I realized I had to come up with a reason that was more important to me than all the downsides of changing my entire lifestyle. Now, as nuanced as this point may seem, I have a very easy way to evaluate how strong your why actually is. If you realize a problem and know that you could do something about the problem, but after 90 days, your behavior doesn't change towards fixing the problem, then your reason was not important enough for you to overcome whatever obstacles were needed to solve that problem. I don't think that's a reason to be discouraged or to stop trying entirely. I just wouldn't stress out about it until you finally do get a reason that's important enough for you to change behavior in an easy way. Weight loss for me was extremely easy because I had such an important why that all the downsides of changing my behavior towards changing my lifestyle was just not very important. My reason for doing it was way more important. It was easy. It wasn't super stressful. I still went through all the downsides that people normally do, but because I knew in the end that it would be worth it, I was delaying that gratification. And the reason was good enough, at least to convince my brain to do it. And if you don't have that, I don't know if stressing about it is necessarily going to make it happen. I think stressing about it's kind of a waste of time. But what problems does losing a massive amount of weight actually solve? In short, life became 100 times easier. People treat you better, it's easier to move around, and as a bonus, all of your clothes are much cheaper. It certainly isn't all positive though. And one of the biggest drawbacks, and I was very lucky with this, some people have it a lot worse. I still have it to a degree, but at least in the places where I do have it, it's not super terrible, but it still negatively affects my appearance, is loose skin. And there's no way of really escaping it if you lose a massive amount of weight. And it will continue to bother me until I eventually go get surgery to have it removed. But that's for another day, for another video. Thanks for watching.